George Washington, a fine man. His physical feature was one of his most priceless assets. He was 6'4", 220 pounds, and had distinct odd features such as wooden-looking teeth. In the Battle of Yorktown, he stood in the midst of an artillery attack, and the bullets and shrapnel seemed to veer away from his body, which helped his popularity amongst the people to be known as a fierce leader.
Not only did bullets and shrapnel seem to veer away from his body in battle, he was the finest horseman in Virginia and seemed immune to disease and infection.
Washington was elected because he was the tallest man in the room. He had the gift of chest courage.
Jay's Treaty. In 1795, Washington and Chief Justice John Jay made a treaty with England that favored English imports and guaranteed payment on the Revolutionary War debts. Washington's main purpose was to avoid another war with England, and he had hoped this treaty would help the English defeat the French and would buy America's protection from the British naval fleets. However, Washington's peers considered Jay's treaty as an act of treason against the principles of the recent revolution. His peers stated that not only did it compromise America's identity, but it did so with its former enemy. Madison and Jefferson wanted to negate Jay's treaty, but Washington's popularity helped him because Madison and Jefferson could not get enough votes.
Washington spoke of destiny, people listened.
Washington fell ill just before the Constitutional Convention and soon came down with the flu afterwards. Jefferson's opinion for George Washington changed after the Whiskey Rebellion, when a small group of farmers from Pennsylvania protested taxes on alcohol. Washington sent a militia to handle this because he saw this as a threat to the authority of the government. Jefferson blamed Hamilton and the Federalists for this, but was outraged by the decision Washington made. He started spreading rumors throughout the press, stating that Washington's old age has weakened him as a leader, which Washington would know to himself that Jefferson was the person spreading the rumors.
The first song on Washington's mind, for which he had been remarkable, was being too relaxed. The listlessness of labor, a desire for tranquility had crept on him, and a willingness to let others act or even think for him.
Washington seemed dazed and always scripted at certain ceremonies. Like an actor going through the lines, or an athlete going through the motions.
September 19th, 1796. It was a gloomy day for the people once they began to read the Philadelphia's American Daily Advertiser. In the newspaper was an article from America's hero himself, Washington, announcing his planned retirement from being president. This was a serious threat for the American people because there had been no period of time in which the nation had been without Washington as their leader. They even named the country's first capital after him. Washington did, however, leave some advice for how the nation should stay strong in his address, which he reminded the people of the importance of national unity.
Friends and fellow citizens, the period for a new election of a citizen to administer the executive government of the United States being not far distant, it appears to me proper, especially as it may conduce to me a more distinct expression of public voice, that I should now praise you of the resolutions I have formed to decline being considered among the number of those out of whom a choice is to be made.
Washington's final message to Congress was that he strongly suggests that the branches of the federal government should expand so that they could compensate the loss of George Washington, because he performed many of the duties on his own. George Washington left office in March of 1797 and retired to his home in Mount Vernon, Virginia. He would die 2 years later on December 14th, 1799, from pneumonia. Washington knew he was going to die and told his doctors to let him die in peace.
I'm just going. Have me decently buried. Do not let my body be put into the vault in less than 3 days after I'm dead. Do you understand me?
It was believed that Washington was afraid of being buried alive. He believed this is what happened to Jesus, and his last words before he died were,
"'Tis well."